This is Mr. Burley at the York Catholic District School Board. In this Photopea tutorial, I'm going to show you how to overlay or double expose images. So in this picture here, we see basically this is a young girl. I envision she's trapped in the big city of Toronto, and you can see she's country girl. You can see, or rural, or whatever, because you can see the trees in behind her. So that's kind of what I was trying to portray with this situation here. So we'll go ahead and I'll show you how to do this overlay. So the first thing you're going to do is File, New, and I'm going to get a screen size of, the size work nice, 1280 screen. And then I'll have the images for you. What I would recommend is you do the same tutorial using the same images, and then create a second tutorial, create a second image on your own using the same skill set. So the easiest way in here is to drag this in like this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to, if you hit W a few times until you get this, or you can go here and you can use your quick select tool. Quick select tool is, I don't know, I have a hard time with it, but how you do it is you click here. So you want to rasterize first, is yes, and create pixels out of it. So I'm going to click here. And that did a pretty good job selecting. Now I find this white here, I guess, and this are pretty close. So if I try to paint that, it right away jumps to the whole outside. So I'm going to leave it as it is there. And then what we're going to do is we can zoom out a bit. We're going to go Refine Edge. And up this comes like this. Now what we can do here is we can take white and we can start painting in the stuff that's missing off of her. So let's zoom in a little bit here. I'm going to get a bit smaller. No, I'll keep this big brush for a few minutes anyways, because I'm going to go in here and I'm going to, using white, I'm going to paint this and I'm going to expose. If you look on the left-hand side, you'll see it's exposing it. So I'm just going to bring in the stuff that was missing from her. It didn't do an amazing job at doing this, but I'm going to go a little bit bigger now, maybe something like this, just to get me past it. And again, play around with it, bring it down here like so, and come up here. Let's get this part in. You can see I'm missing this as well. Whoop. Control Z. The problem with, one of the things I find is if you use click, paint a bit and let go of the click button, let go of the button. And that way, if you go to Control Z, you bring something back, you don't reduce a whole bunch of steps. I think that's a kind of a little tip to do. So I'm going to come up in through here, looking good. I'm going to come in through this area here, out to the edge of our blue shirt, and down, and so on. Okay, that's good enough for this particular situation. I think that's going to bring it all in. Now what we do is we just click OK, and it creates a new layer here for her. I'm going to bring this layer to the bottom because I don't need it any longer. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in another image, and these are the trees here, Park Winter. Bring that down so you can see it. You actually don't even actually need that background. So at any rate, I'm going to leave it for a few minutes. But so now what we're going to do is we're going to come in here and we're going to click on this right here, and we're going to click Control and then click here. And when you do that, you'll notice it cuts or it outlines her. Then if you come down to the background of the Park Winter and create a new raster layer here, like so, it creates a raster layer in here. Now what we can do is we can come in here. So now you click the girl layer here, and when you click on this up here, you can drop down to lighten, and now you can see the trees come through. So you have that kind of double layer or double exposure we used to do in the old days. So now you can play around with the opacity if you wanted to see how you can bring more of that in to more identify it as forest like that. You can play around with that and get that to your liking. Then you can get back into here, into this, and so we can play around if you want to. This looks pretty good, but if you wanted to play around and move the layer of the trees around a little bit, maybe line it up nicer, you can just come in here, click this. So now they're not linked anymore. If you leave it, if you click this, you grab it, you move the whole picture around. But if you just click this, like so, the trees, and now you click your move tool, and you can then come and you can reposition so it makes it more obvious. Like right there, it's starting to look actually a little bit better, because it looks, you can tell they're trees now. But we've missed the top of her hand, so let's bring that back up like that. So something like that looks nice. And then you just click back in, lock it back together, and it's now locked. So if you went to move it now, you can see it moves the whole thing. So it's nice because you can move that around in a few minutes if you needed to get the rule of thirds. We bring it down in the bottom left-hand corner and make it look more obvious, more inviting into the picture. So now what we're going to do is we're going to grab the cityscape, Toronto cityscape, and bring it in here. Now, I initially thought about photoshopping that guy out, or sorry, photopeaing that guy out, but I didn't. I left him in. You could do that if you wanted to. Let's bring this to something larger to fit the screen, like so. And now she is there. Let's bring this above to here. And you can play around with the layers and bring it up and down and so on. But there you have, that looks pretty good. I'd probably go back in maybe and play with the opacity of some of these, bring up the opacity, maybe play with this one here and see what it looks like if you bring the opacity right down. That's interesting, but it's hard to tell it's a person. So bringing it up like this, I think looks nice. So again, this part from this point on is just subjectivity. It's whatever you think looks nice, right? You can play around with things. You could maybe find a different background if you wanted to, something more, more suiting, maybe something with some neon lights in the background and something, blatantly obvious. I just like the winterscape. I thought it looked good. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for watching. This is the overlay. You can now, my expectation is you do something very, very similar to this, but using your own creativity.